Hey third graders, it's Miss Milam here, and I have the honor of reading you this book today called Salt in His Shoes. We're going to be talking a lot about hopes and dreams that we have for this year, and this book is about a hope that a kid had and how he achieved his dreams. So we're going to go ahead and read this book and be thinking the whole time about achieving dreams. Some background I want to give you on this story is that it's about a basketball player named Michael Jordan, who is probably one of the most famous basketball players of all time. Your parents would definitely know who this is. He's retired now, but he is still famous, and people still think about him and make movies about him. So I'm going to read this book to you, and I want you again to be thinking the whole time about how his hopes and dreams became a reality. Okay, here we go. Salt in His Shoes. Michael Jordan in Pursuit of a Dream by Dolores Jordan with Rosalind M. Jordan, illustrated by Kadir Nelson. Oh, one more important thing I want to tell you about this book is that Michael Jordan's family was very religious. They were Christian, and that will be a big theme in this book. So you could be noticing that as well. Not everybody is super religious, but his family was, and that was a big part of his dream. So you can be thinking about how that played into his dream as well. Salt in His Shoes. Here's the first picture. Kadir Nelson does an amazing job with illustrations. Michael loved to play basketball. Every Saturday, he followed his older brothers Larry and Ronnie to the park, hoping that they would let him play. And if one of the guys who usually played with them didn't show, they always did. But there was one problem. His name was Mark, and he was the tallest boy on the court. You can see, there's Mark. You can tell who he is, right? "What's the matter, Mikey? Too short?" Mark flapped his arms in Michael's face. "Over here!" shouted Larry, but when Michael threw the ball, Mark's long arms came out of nowhere and knocked the ball away. It flew into the hands of a player on Mark's team. He made the basket and the game was over. Just like that. "I am really sorry, guys. If I were taller, that wouldn't have happened." All the way home, Michael apologized, even though no one was mad at him. His oldest brother, Ronnie, tried to cheer him up. "Look, little brother, you played good today. Don't worry. We'll win the next time." They're walking home, and there's his brother trying to cheer him back up again. When they got home, Michael went into the kitchen where Mama was cooking dinner. He was still disappointed, and she could tell. "You guys lost again, today, huh?" Michael nodded. He sat quietly for a minute, then said, "Mama, how can I grow taller?" Now, Mama knew the answer to a lot of questions, but this was a tough one. She thought for a moment as she sprinkled salt and pepper on the chicken she was making for dinner. Then she smiled, looked at Michael, and said, "Salt." "Salt?" Michael looked at his mama. "Salt in your shoes. We'll put salt in your shoes and say a prayer every night. Before you know it, you'll be taller," she replied. "Salt in my shoes?" Michael said quietly to himself. Surely Mama was teasing. He sat staring out of the window, trying to figure out how salt was going to help him grow. He noticed the rose bushes outside in Mama's garden. They had grown high along the fence, and the roses of all colors were blooming on the vines. He thought to himself, "I remember when Mama first planted those bushes." Michael's face lit up. If Mama knows how to make those rose bushes grow taller, then maybe she's right. Maybe salt in my shoes really will help me grow. So here he is, confused, and there he is admiring his mama's rose bushes growing so profusely and so strongly. Growing more excited, Michael twirled around and started asking lots of questions. "Mama, how long will it take? And how tall do you think I'll get?" Smiling, Mama sat down next to him and explained, In order for this to work, the most important things you have to do are be patient and listen to what I tell you and say your prayers every night. Listening carefully, Michael shook his head. Okay, Mama, I'll be patient. But what does saying my prayers have to do with it? Everything, Mama replied, and she hugged him. Now go wash up and tell your brothers and sisters to get ready for dinner. Michael dashed out of the kitchen, almost knocking over his father, who was walking in. What's he up to now? Asked Daddy. Oh, the usual, laughed Mama. Chasing a dream. When Mama came in, Michael was fast asleep. By the look on his face, she could tell he was already playing basketball in his dreams. Standing by his bed, Mama sprinkled salt in his shoes. Then she prayed quietly over him, as she did all her children. She was putting the salt in his shoes. And they are sleeping. Even holding his basketball. Dear God, please help Michael to be the best he can be and to give his best in all that he does. And Lord, could you please make him just a little bit taller tomorrow than he is today? Thank you. Amen. After that night, Michael wore his favorite game shoes everywhere he went, even to church, and he stopped going to the park with his brothers on Saturdays. Instead, he stayed home and practiced. He wanted to grow a few more inches before he went back to the park. You can see, look at all that practicing. He is very dedicated. Hope you're noticing some of the things he's doing to make sure his dreams come true. After 2 months of practicing and waiting patiently and praying, Michael stood next to the growth chart on his wall. Nothing. He hadn't grown an inch. He was disappointed, but he did not stop believing. I've just got to give it time like Mama said, Michael thought to himself. And that's what he did. 2 more months of practicing went by and still nothing. Now Michael was becoming a little sad. Not only had he not grown 1 inch, but he also missed playing basketball with Larry and Ronnie. About the only thing he didn't miss was being picked on by Mark. When the next Saturday came, his brothers tried to get Michael to go with them to the park, but he wouldn't budge. Mama had begun to worry. When she saw Michael sitting alone on the steps, she said to Daddy, "Maybe you should go out and talk to him." He is still the same height. There are his parents concerned about him. When Michael reached the park, the game had started. He sat on the bench hoping he would get a chance to play, and he did. The game was almost over and the score was tied when John, one of the guys on Michael's team, fell and hurt himself. Here was Michael's chance. He is sitting out on the bench, and there's John having gotten hurt and Michael looking on in concern. Michael joined his team in the huddle as they gathered on the sideline for a timeout. Okay, the game is tied. All we need is 1 point. Who wants to take the shot? Ronnie asked. He looked in Michael's direction. Feeling more confident than ever, Michael said, "I'll do it." When the whistle blew and the game began again, Mark began to pick on Michael as usual. "Still trying to play with the big boys, huh?" Mark taunted. But Michael paid him no attention. Taller or not, he had been practicing, and today he was determined to win. Larry threw the ball inbounds to Michael. Michael caught it, bounced it for a moment, and then took off running. What do you guys think? What do you predict? Take a moment to think. Do you think he's going to make it? If he does, why? Okay, keep going. As he approached Mark, Michael shifted to his right. Mark followed, but while he was still shifting, Michael spun to his left. He stepped behind Mark and shot. The ball arced far above his opponent's hands and fell silently through the hoop. Whoosh! 2 points. The game was over. Michael's team had won. I shouldn't make sound effects for something being silent, should I? It was just as Michael had dreamed. When he realized what he had done, Michael took off running and didn't stop until he had reached home. So he made the shot. I wonder what it was that he was doing that helped him make that shot. Bursting through the door, he shouted, "I did it, Daddy! I did it! I shot right over the tall guy's head and we won the game." Running behind him, Ronnie and Larry joined the celebration. "That's right, little brother, you did it! You won the game for us." Michael remembered the look that Ronnie gave him during the last time out of the game and said, "No, we won the game, but I was the star." They all laughed. After that day, Mama stopped putting salt in Michael's shoes, but Michael did not stop being patient and working hard and praying. You can see his family so proud of him and him so proud of himself. So that must be what made Michael grow to be a 6'6" tall basketball superstar. To give you some perspective, Miss Milam is pretty tall, if you've seen me in the hallway. I am not even quite 6 feet. He is 6 feet, 6 inches. That is a pretty tall human being, for sure. So, what was it that Michael did that helped him get to his dreams? And that makes me think, what are we going to do in order to get to our dreams this year? So we'll have to think about that too.